Hi everyone. Do you think you know what an early 19th century frigate looks like? Well, not quite. Today, we're going to unravel one of the most confusing ships in the history of ship modeling. Because behind the name Frigate Carolina 1808 hides something entirely different, not a frigate at all, but a fast, aggressive schooner that caused real trouble for the British near New Orleans. So why has it been stubbornly called a frigate for nearly 200 years? And how did such a small vessel manage to capture the British sloop shark? Let's dive in. First of all, the name. The real name of this ship was USS Carolina. The only ship in the United States Navy ever named after a British colony that would later become the states of North and South Carolina. She was laid down in 1808, and her moment of glory came during the War of 1812. But forget any image of a massive, multi-deck warship. This was a schooner. At that time, American shipbuilders focused on creating smaller vessels that were exceptionally fast and highly maneuverable, and Carolina was one of the finest examples of that philosophy. So what made her special? Here are 4 key facts you need to know. First, the frigate confusion. Why do modelers still insist on calling her Frigate Carolina 1808? The answer goes back to the early 20th century, when a publisher of ship plans made a simple but impactful mistake in classification. Frigates sounded more impressive, more romantic, and the name stuck. Second, her size and armament. Her displacement was around 250 tons. That's about 5 times smaller than a true frigate. Her length, roughly 30 meters. And her weapons included between 10 and 14 small caliber guns, along with 9 and 12-pounder carronades. Now, that might not sound particularly intimidating. But at close range, this little hornet could sting, and sting hard. Now let's talk about one of her most striking moments in action. In 1813, USS Carolina intercepted the British schooner Shark. Speed allowed Carolina to take the advantageous position. Precision from her gunners did the rest. Shark surrendered. It was proof. Proof that even a small American navy could dictate the terms of battle at sea. Arriving at New Orleans on August 23, 1814, the USS Carolina immediately began an active patrol mission in the Gulf and on the Mississippi River. Her tasks were twofold: guarding against a possible British invasion and hunting down the pirates that infested the Caribbean Sea and the waters around Louisiana. And soon, she struck hard. On September 16, 1814, under the overall command of Commodore Daniel Patterson, Carolina led a combined naval and army expedition against the notorious stronghold of G. Lafitte on the island of Grand Terre in Barataria Bay. Supported by 6 gunboats and a landing force, the Carolina approached the pirate base. Although the Baratarians put up only limited resistance, many of Lafitte's men simply abandoned their ships and fled into the swamps. The American forces destroyed the pirate colony. They captured or burned several vessels, destroyed the settlement of palm-thatched huts, and seized a large amount of contraband. The stronghold of the most famous pirate of the Gulf was effectively wiped out. But her greatest moment came a year later. The evening of December 23, 1814. The British were preparing to seize the strategically vital port of New Orleans, and USS Carolina was operating on the Mississippi River. What happened next was extraordinary. Thanks to her shallow draft and exceptional maneuverability, Carolina moved into position near the British camp, and opened fire from the river, with grape shot. Imagine this scene: a single schooner, engaging an entire army of roughly 1,800 to 1,900 British soldiers. It was, in essence, an artillery duel, one ship against a force on land. Day and night, she bombarded British positions with grapeshot and solid shot. And for a time, the British simply could not respond. But on December 27th, everything changed. The British brought up heavy artillery, including heated shot, red-hot cannonballs designed to set ships ablaze. Under this devastating fire, USS Carolina was struck and sunk. Her crew evacuated, several men were lost. And yet, even in destruction, her story did not end. Her guns were salvaged, brought ashore, and continued to fire on British forces from land. But perhaps the most important part of this story lies beyond the ship itself. The actions of USS Carolina became the signal for a full-scale land attack led by Andrew Jackson. And what followed was not just a victory. Jackson's army didn't simply defeat the British. They crushed them. Despite the British having advantages in numbers, experience, and equipment, the outcome was one of the most one-sided victories in American history. And here's a crucial detail. The peace treaty had already been signed in Europe on December 24, 1814. But the news took weeks to cross the Atlantic. Which means the Battle of New Orleans technically took place after the war had already ended. And yet, it changed everything. The victory boosted American morale. It turned Jackson into a national hero. And it significantly strengthened the international prestige of the United States. There were also French frigates with very similar names. One of them was the French frigate Carolina, a 40-gun ship of the Hortense class, launched in 1806. She took part in raids across the Indian Ocean between 1808 and 1809, capturing British vessels and disrupting trade routes, before eventually being captured herself by the British at Ile-de-France. Then there was another, the Pallas-class Carolina, launched in 1811 in Naples, a French-designed frigate that was later transferred to the Neapolitan Navy. So you can see how easily the names became tangled over time. Different ships, different nations, different roles, yet all echoing the same name, Carolina. And this confusion still lingers today. But why does this ship matter now? For ship modelers, the plans of Carolina 1808 represent something very special. They sit right in the sweet spot. Not overwhelmingly complex like a ship of the line, but far from simple or primitive. This is a model where craftsmanship truly comes alive. You can focus on the details, the distinctive bow shape typical of American schooners, the elegant spars, and the refined rigging system that allowed a crew of just around 60 men to handle the sails with remarkable speed and efficiency. It's a perfect balance of beauty and engineering. So the next time you see a model kit labeled Frigate Carolina 1808, just smile. Because you'll know the truth. This is no frigate. This is a legendary schooner, a small, deadly phantom of the War of 1812. Thanks for watching.